great to be here today for Families Matter St. Lucie Public Schools Parenting Guide. We are excited to be your hosts. My name is Rebecca Benton. I am a life skills parent educator with Student Services.
Hi again. I'm Dejon Jackson, Family and Community Outreach Administrator on special assignment for St. Lucie Public Schools. The focus of our show today is on assessment, testing grit, and resources for our families. It's only a test.
The purpose of Families Matter St. Lucie Public Schools Parenting Guide is to give parents and families information about the resources found within our local community. The resources shared could be in the form of people connected to St. Lucie Public Schools, like school counselors, district support personnel, or educators on your child's campus. Or the resources could be found on our St. Lucie Public Schools website. And it could be in the form of local community agencies that help your child achieve success. You play a pivotal role in the life of your child and children, and as always, our aim is to support you. Today, our purpose is to give you tools and resources to help your child prepare for the upcoming testing season.
While the entire academic year is crucial, the next few months are very important to gauge the growth of your child as they work on their current grade level standards. We are approaching what most schools call testing season. And today, we hope to ease any stress you or your child may feel regarding this time. We have brought along with us a very special guest today who knows the ins and outs of every test within our district.
Welcome, Ms. Riley. It's wonderful having you with us. Can you share a little bit about yourself with our listening audience?
Thank you for having me here. So a little bit about myself. I've been in education for a little bit over 31 years. I have served as a teacher. I've been an assistant principal. I've served as a principal. I came to St. Lucie Public Schools on a grant, leadership grant, where I assisted the district with developing multiple leadership programs. And I have served as an assistant principal here in the district at Forest Grove Middle School. And for the last 2 years, I've been serving as an administrator on special assignment in assessment and accountability, focused on all the new testing, state testing rules and regulations that have been put into place.
Yes, and we'll get into that today.
Most definitely. Ms. Riley, our students in kindergarten through 12th grade have state assessments. What are the tests and what do the tests measure?
Well, there are a lot of them, and I will start with kindergarten through 2nd grade because they are sort of the last year was the first year we tested kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade students, and they're tested through a platform called Star Renaissance, and they are assessed on kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade skills in reading and math, and so they get a score in reading and math for K2, and then we have our 3rd through 8th grade students who are assessed in general mathematics, and then our 3rd through 10th grade students who are assessed in general language arts, reading, and writing. We do offer EOCs. Now, EOCs are an assessment that are similar to the Regents exams in New York, if that is something you're familiar with, in which those assessments actually count as part of the student's grade at the end of the year. So we offer EOCs in 7th grade civics. We have a biology EOC, an Algebra 1 EOC, a Geometry 1 EOC, and U.S. History EOC, which we offer usually at 11th grade.
And EOC stands for End of Course Exam.
End of Course Exam, yes, thank you.
Of course.
And that's good information for our families to know a little bit about, a lot about. So where can families find out about these types of assessments?
So the state of Florida has the FSAassessment.org. That is a website that provides parents the ability to go in and select the grade level, the assessment the student's taking, and there's resources for them. It has sample questions, ways that students can answer the questions. So it's a really great resource for parents and students to go on and see what those assessments look like.
For the resources that Ms. Riley just shared, please check out our Families Matter webpage.
A big transition with the new FAST, or Florida Assessment of Student Thinking Test, is that it is adaptive. Can you share a little bit about what this means for our students and families?
So the adaptability of the test basically is if a student gets an answer correct, then the test will automatically provide another question maybe on the same benchmark of a higher complexity. As the student continues to answer those questions correctly, then the test provides additional higher level skilled questions to assess that student's cognitive ability, complexity. If a student gets a question wrong, then the test will then move the student back down until they find a good level of where that student is with their complexity of understanding those questions.
Now, long ago, when I took the FCAT, which was a long time ago, my teacher taught us to, answer the questions that we knew we knew the answer, and then skip those harder ones. We were always using those testing strategies that we were taught in our reading strategies, but to save those harder questions towards the end when we, maybe if we were running out of time. Now, should students and families be supporting their students to do that?
So students still have the ability to skip questions on the assessment, but it does affect the complexity level and the actual score that a student receives when they skip a question. So what that signals to the computer or the test itself is that the student doesn't know the answer. And so what it does is the next question, if the student skips it, the next question they get is at a lower complexity level. Even though the student comes back and answers the question correctly, it records it as a correct answer, but they don't get those complexity points per se to help in those in identifying their level. It's those higher complexity questions that really determine a student's level from being an on-level student to being proficient at level 4 or to being above grade level at a level 5.
You had mentioned a lot of skills and strategies students have to take a look at. And back when I was a teacher as well as a student, before FCAT even, when we were chiseling it out with a rock and a hammer, there were strategies that were in place. But as a school principal, I also looked at a testing season toward the end of the year. Now the assessments are set up where it's not one time in the year toward the end of the year. Can you share with us a little bit about how progress monitoring works for all of our families out there?
Absolutely, yes. So the state has set up progress monitoring in 3 different we'll call them seasons, since you use the word seasons. So progress monitoring 1 is at the beginning of the year. With progress monitoring 1, students are going to receive a test that covers all the benchmarks that they would have in that grade level. So if I say I have a 4th grade student, they're going to come in and they're going to take progress monitoring 1 at the beginning of the year, and it's going to cover all the 4th grade benchmarks. They may be benchmarks the students haven't seen. So parents, you may see that your students score lower than they typically would on that progress monitoring 1 assessment. It's really to assess where is the student in their current knowledge, what knowledge are they coming in with. Then they have a progress monitoring 2 window, which is usually in December-January timeframe. And what that is we're looking for growth. What has the student learned from the progress monitoring 1 time point to progress monitoring 2. By that time, they should have approximately half of the learning of that school year. Did they learn? Did they grow? Did they build their skills? And then it also gives teachers a really great picture of what remediation needs to occur, what scaffolding in my lesson plans needs to happen in order to prepare my students for that end of the year assessment in which all benchmarks they will be assessed equally because students will have been exposed to all those assessments or all those benchmarks on PM3.
Now that we know the meat of the assessments, where can parents and families find the dates of the assessments?
So the St. Lucie Public Schools, our assessment accountability website has a link right to our district calendar, but know that that is just a window of when those assessments occur. Each school has the ability to schedule within the window when they're going to give those assessments. So the best place to find the actual date for your student when they're taking the assessment is to look at the student's your child's school's website, check their backpacks because they're required to send letters home, or listen to any call outs that are coming from the school that give specific information about those dates.
Schools are provided testing windows, and then they create their own schedule based on the school's needs and capacity. Many schools share these resources in their monthly newsletter that they send home through posts on their school's social media pages, and teachers will announce on Class Dojo if that's something that they use. If you are unsure of when your child is testing, please reach out to your school's front office.
Andrea, during the testing season, our families are clamoring to find out resources to help their child be successful. Where can families find that information?
Absolutely. So our curriculum department has done an amazing job of providing resources for students for remediation, for support. You can just go to our St. Lucie webpage in the student resources pages. They have access to iReady, iExcel, and a variety of other website resources. Many of them are tailored directly for your child and what needs they need in order for growth.
That's wonderful. What would you say are your top tips for helping students prepare for this testing season?
So definitely parents be aware of that testing date so they can make sure that they get a good night's rest and make sure that any of those social media or gaming platforms are put away the night before. Make sure that they get breakfast in the morning. If not, we definitely provide that at school. And then absolutely encourage them. Tell them to go do their best. Attendance is also very important. It's easier to take the test on the date of the assessment than it is to do on a makeup day. And then my last piece would really be just reaching out to the school and find out what type of tutorial options and resources they have. Many schools are not only just offering tutoring for students that are needing additional support and skills, but they offer test taking or test prep days, either before school, after school, or even on some Saturdays.
Oh, that would be a great resource for families to utilize.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It is important for families to remember that it's a normal day. They are going to be tested on material they have been taught all year for our students. When your child or children arrive at school, their classroom may look a little different to meet the testing environment requirements, but please reassure them it is a day like every other. They will take their test, eat lunch, get some outside time to relax, and go home. Now, when I taught kindergarten, I would always tell my students, I was just seeing how big their brain was. And just like you said, and it's the name of the test, progress monitoring, we're just seeing, we want to see growth and progress. And that I was always so proud of them, and effort was key.
And when I taught fifth grade was my jam. It was a chance for students to show what they know. They put in effort and they were reassured. And they made sure that they were confident in going into the assessment. In addition, back when I taught fifth grade, it was breaking open the Scantrons and getting those number 2 pencils sharpened and ready to go. Now students are tested using technology. So what was testing like when you were either as a classroom teacher or even a school administrator?
So we're probably the same age, and we had the Scantrons and the number 2 pencils and had to make sure they were sharpened.
No mechanical pencils, I remember that. No mechanical pencils.
No mechanical pencils, but we had to have those number 2 pencils sharpened. And now every single one of our assessments, including science this year for the first time, is an online assessment. And the other nice thing is it's a one-day assessment. So in the past, when assessments, ELA assessment had been 2 sessions over 2 days, and the math assessment had been 3 sessions over 2 days, is now a one-day assessment for ELA, a one-day assessment for math, and a one-day assessment for science. But students do have unlimited time during that school day to complete those assessments.
That really cuts down the stress when you're thinking you're just going to go one day and take the test and be done.
And you know, as a school principal, I tried to also make sure that kids had what they needed so that they felt confident. Making sure that they had materials in place, such as headphones. Kids like their own headphones, right? They bring their headphones that plug into the computers that they're using. Also, that they were thinking about what was the meal that was coming up. So kids can take advantage of universal breakfast that is free for all students in St. Lucie Public Schools. And attendance is critical. It's important for kids to take the test with their classmates, with their teacher they're comfortable with. And with that confidence, they can go in. Our children are well prepared for success. There is no need to stress over a test. Students should feel confident in their knowledge of skills at their grade level. If not, ask questions about the test, talk to your child's teacher, get answers, make sure that kids are attending tutoring, build that confidence for them to show what they know.
Absolutely. And showing up every day is important. However, if your child does not feel good on testing day, you know your child best. Your child's school champions want them to perform at their best ability. Please keep them home and know that they can make up the test on a makeup day.
The testing time allotted for these tests can be lengthy, and you had touched on that. So, Ms. Riley, can you talk to us about the different time frames for each test so that students and their parents who are supporting them have that knowledge?
So like I shared earlier, now in the past, tests have been multiple days, multiple sessions over multiple days. The nice thing about this new assessment being online, it is one day. So we have one day scheduled for the ELA test. And why the state says, okay, students have 80 minutes to complete this ELA assessment, the state has come back and said, we understand that students take different students read at a different rate, or different students process information at a different rate. And so every student will get that 90 minutes. And at the end of the 90 minutes, if a child still needs additional time, they have the ability to take as much time as they need until the end of that school day. And I know you had mentioned about if a student is not feeling well, it's always great to err on the side of, yes, that child may need to stay home, because what happens is they go in, they take the assessment, they're halfway through the assessment, and they start feeling bad. Or they start feeling badly and they give up, and then they don't necessarily communicate, hey, I'm not feeling well, and they don't take the time that they are allotted or given. And if they go home sick and then don't come back the next day, or they decide to go home and don't finish the assessment, they don't necessarily get the opportunity to complete the assessment when they return. So that is a really important piece that you mentioned earlier about when students aren't feeling well, because again, it's one day, they get the entire day to complete that assessment.
These tests will likely be scheduled in the morning. It is important to plan any doctor's appointments or out-of-town trips according to your child's testing schedule.
It is best for your child to test in the environment that they're used to, with their homeroom teacher or with their testing teacher. It's also important to know what materials they can and cannot use. Make sure that you're checking with your child's testing teacher, homeroom teacher, to know what materials, such as with those headphones I mentioned earlier, that they're not Bluetooth compatible. There are certain rules that are in place. We want to make sure that all of our students are prepared. We don't want to rely on makeup days as the first option. Instead, we want to make sure our kids are confident in their ability to be successful.
Now, once these tests are over, we know all schools breathe a huge sigh of relief, and you can too at home. A benefit to having online testing is that the scores are reported much quicker.
You can check out your child's score using Skyward Family Access. Now, we have shared information about wonderful resources with Skyward Family Access on our last show. But if you missed it, please check out our Families Matter webpage. I love how when we get the testing reports, the user-friendly format that the score report provides. There are also family resources available to help your child move toward mastery on grade level benchmarks based on their score that they get in PM1, PM2, in preparation for PM3. Andrea, what is the best way to access resources for families who are supporting their child's test taking at home?
So one of the best locations is the state has created the family portal. At that family portal, parents can go in and see student test scores at, they're supposed to be posted 10 days after the student has tested. But sometimes you can see those test scores up to 24 hours or 48 hours after the student has assessed. So that is a great place. Not only does it give you information about that you see the student's score, but it will also allow you to print reports to help explain those scores for you. And it will give you an outline of what are the areas that the student needs support or additional work in. The K2 scores, though, however, because the K2 scores are off of a different platform through that Star Renaissance platform, their scores do not show up in the portal until 10 days or 2 weeks after the actual assessment window closes.
Right. And keep in mind that with each school testing at different times, that it's 2 weeks after the assessment window closes for the district, not the school. Okay. The goal and purpose of the progress monitoring assessments is just as the name suggests, where students show growth and progress over time of mastery of grade level standards. If you need more support understanding where your child falls in meeting grade level expectations, please contact your child's teacher.
We want to highlight a few schools who have recently had data chats to help families as we approach this school year's upcoming testing season. Fairlawn Elementary had a data and desserts night where parents and students enjoyed sweet treats while learning about the upcoming tests and how to understand their students' reports. They also gave tips on what to do in this crunch time.
Parkway Elementary hosted student-led conferences for families to go over their child's growth this year. I absolutely love being a part of that.
Event.
Both of us were there with Families Matter, but we also had a chance to sit down with students to go over their growth and set those goals for these 27 or so days before testing. And Manatee K-8 also held a data night with information sessions about the test. Finally, in our high schools, we had Centennial High School having a student-led conference as well. Parents enjoyed the information, but also had a plan in moving forward for the testing.
Also, FK Suite is utilizing their social media page to update parents on upcoming testing dates. Way to go.
During this time, your child's school and teacher are your best resources for information. If your child is an English language learner, please reach out to your child's school counselor. If you have questions about your child's individual education plan, please reach out to the ESE specialist at your child's school. And if you have questions regarding your child's 504 accommodation plan, please reach out also to your child's school counselor.
Families, we know we covered a lot today. A lot. Regarding a very stressful time of year, testing. We hope you feel at ease knowing more about the tests your child will be taking, what their day will look like, and what the next steps are for your child.
This has been a great show. If you have missed any of our show topics, please head to WLX Horizon to watch it, catch up, feel connected. Check out our St. Lucie Public Schools social media outlets for our next show. Next month, we will discuss in May mental health awareness. Thank you so much for tuning in to WLX Horizon, your station for important information. Download the app on your phone or digital device to keep involved in your child's community resources and education. We appreciate your time and your diligence with supporting your child. Remember, all families matter in St. Lucie Public Schools.